Hey, we talked earlier this week about John Hattie and the effect size and how collective teacher efficacy was at the top of the list. This is an old list and is really blurry and you can't see it, but this is the list that I have always been familiar with, where things that really impact students' learning are at the top, and then we go down to things that negatively impact student learning. And around the point 4 mark is where John Hattie says this can make a positive effect on student learning. And some of the things below it down to the negative are kind of average. They make a little bit of an effect. They're not harmful to the students, but they don't have as much of an impact on student learning. So my eye has been drawn to the top of the list. And I got to say, I maybe look at about the top 10% of the list. And I think, what am I doing and what can I improve on? And I'll take a look at this is what his list typically looked like. This is an old one, I think from 2015. Its self-reported grades are at the top. And you can see this is pages upon pages. And really, we get just a few things that have a negative student impact. But again, I always looked up at the upper 10%. There's been some critics of Hattie's research, and part of it has to do with how people are not, how they're looking at this chart. So he changed the style of the chart, and I really, really like this. This lists 250 plus influences on student achievement and has them listed in category. This came out in 2019. That's when he started redoing the chart this way. The categories are student, curricula, home, school, classroom, teachers, student learning strategies, teaching strategies, and technology school and out of school strategies. They are listed alphabetically within these categories. So we are no longer drawing our eye to that upper 10% and only focusing in on those. And these color coded them with dark blue being potential to considerably accelerate student achievement, light blue accelerate, potential to accelerate, green likely to have positive impact, yellow likely to have small positive impact, but still some impact, and red is likely to have a negative impact. So instead of taking a look at just those blue dots, it gives us the opportunity to take a look at what other things are in those categories. He's not discounting any of those other things, and that's what people were doing, like me, is just looking up at the top. I read somewhere somebody calling it the high-hanging fruit versus the low-hanging fruit. A lot of times that stuff that's up at the top takes a lot of time and effort. And that's not to say that it's not important. I really think collective teacher efficacy can be built in and is based on the culture of a school, where you have teachers that collaborate both at their grade level, also vertically. They work in PLCs together. They analyze data together and make changes together. They share their personal learning and experiences. They go to PD together. And then you are observing each other and you're finding your strengths and your weaknesses. So you share them with the other person. You reach out to other people. You feel so confident and so comfortable in your teaching and in other people's teaching. And that is what the collective teacher efficacy is. Oh, and you do work with coaches. Um, so those kinds of things where that takes some time to build that culture, and that takes some actually planning to implement so many things into place so that it happens and can happen well. You need um, um, uh, grade level planning that happens together. You need to have the opportunities to meet with each other. You need to have the opportunities to look at the data and go to the professional development. All of those things need to be able to happen before that occurs. So what is some of the low hanging fruit on here? We can take a look at some of the light blue and some of the green and say, these are things that we can work. So they don't take as much work, but they do have a decent effect size. They can impact student learning, like attitude to content domains. Well, if we can make kids excited and interested in content, if they believe that they can be good at science and math even though they're a girl, and they can be good at reading even though they're a boy, or if we can get them interested in them, that doesn't take as much effort. It does take some effort and some planning. It has a positive effect, as some of these big words, comprehensive instructional programs for teachers. Those are things that take really time. A Piagettian Piagetion program. That is over from birth through high school through college. That is something that we can't control, but we can control and we can impact with some of these other things. I mean, think about also some of the things that are having a negative impact. We have lack of sleep. If we had a program that was like a week long where we were engaging families in wellness, we were getting kids excited about learning about sleep by maybe taking a survey. How much sleep do you think a fourth grader needs? How much sleep do you think an average fourth grader takes? And then send home some data tracking sheets and analyzing that data at the end of the week. Doing some in-class learning during literacy time, read alouds, and taking a look at that with them. That we could get that done in a week, and that would have a big impact. It has such a negative impact. We could have a big impact on the students learning there. So I want you to know also that this is really for us to be self-reflective about. That Hattie's research isn't meant just to look at colors and not just meant to look at effect sizes. That what he's summarized is that teachers need to be passionate. They need to be able to monitor students' learning, that they need to be able to establish relationships with students and with their colleagues, and that they need to seek to improve their own learning. And we can do this by taking a look at how we teach and what we teach and the way we teach, and making some changes based on this research. So I challenge you to take a look at this and see if there's anything that you think that pops out that you could work on, that you could improve on, being reflective about your teaching, and maybe share something with your grade level team. And something that you guys think you can work together to move the needle on student learning. So thanks for listening. If you have any questions about this and you want to chit chat, you know where to reach me.